What is cracking, everybody? It is Majin your Wolverine. Today is a very sad day. It is 9/11, and today is a day of courage, a day of pride, American pride. But it's a tragic day. But there was a post I saw on Facebook. Someone had posted a picture that said, "You, if you remember 9/11, don't remember the day of, remember the day after." Because I believe that's a strong message. It's a strong message because the following day there was no race, there was no it didn't matter if you were African American, Asian American, it didn't matter if you were African American, it didn't matter if you were Asian American. All that mattered was you were American, and everyone was together. Everyone was united. The whole country was united, but that is a day that has changed everyone's lives in some way, in some form of fashion. Now, I'm too young to remember what happened on that day because I was born in 1998. But I can tell you what my parents were doing. And my sister was never born and wasn't born until the following year. So here's my parents' side. So I was at a pre-K school, I believe, is what my mom told me. My dad used to locate lines, was a line locator, so he'd go out in the field, spray paint for what company lines were, like AT&T, phone lines, gas lines, stuff like that. He'd do that. My dad, I believe my dad walked into a gas station, or he heard it on the radio. He walked into a gas station. It was either a gas station or a radio, but somehow, either way, he learned of the first plane. He learned about the North Tower being up in flames. He heard about it. My mom was working at the preschool that I was at. I think I don't remember what exactly was going on. I don't remember what job she had. But she was working, and suddenly she sees on the TV the first tower up in flames. As she's watching it, the second plane hits the South Tower, and she was frightened. No, she wasn't working at the pre-K school. She did used to work there, but she didn't work there anymore. She worked somewhere else. So she was frightened. She got up, asked to take the day off because she was scared for her family, and her boss was like, "Yeah, go ahead, go get him." So she runs to the pre-K school. She grabs me, hauls ass back to the house, back to our house. And Dad shows up a little while later, and they sit there from there on and watch the rest of the news the rest of the day. Now, I have an aunt who lived in New York at the time. And she was actually a flight attendant. So my stepmom didn't know if her sister, my aunt, was on a plane or was under attack. She didn't know, and she couldn't reach them because the phone lines were jammed with so many calls over the line, and she couldn't get to New York because there was no planes going in, no planes going out, and all the air traffic Air traffic on the ground just came to a screeching halt, and they literally landed every single plane that was in the air. And all my mom and my dad can remember is that we lived in the colony at the time, so we were right next to an airport of some sort. I forget which airport it was, but we were right next to the airport. So they would hear jet planes, jets go into the air. All she remembers after 9/11 was the eerie silence. It was unsettling to her because that's not what she's used to hearing. She's not used to hearing an eerie silence. She's used to hearing jet planes taking off or landing. So that's the eerie thing about that for her. And my dad told me that he agreed with that. It was like it was eerie. He didn't like it. Now my take on 9/11, the way I learned about it was one year, 9/11 comes on. My dad and my mom sit me down, and they're like, you need to watch this because you need to know what happens on this day. I go, okay. As a kid, I'm like, okay. And then I watched it. I didn't understand it at first. Then as years later rolled on, I finally realized and understood what this day was and what this meant to a lot of people. And every year around this time, I listened to music about American Pride that came out like right after 9/11. And I literally cry every time because it breaks my heart to know that a lot of people died as victims. They were either victims of the plane crash, victims of the towers collapsing, victims of the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, victims of the Pentagon, and the firemen and the police officers that just lost their lives going into those buildings and getting people out. It's one of those days that just changes your life forever. Doesn't matter if you remember that day or not. It will change your life forever. It certainly has for me. But I just wanted to get that off my chest and wanted to let you know my take on 9/11. There will be a new video coming out of the war with AJ Games, and hopefully some reaction videos, hopefully some gaming videos. So get ready for those. Bullet Club and American Pride is for life.